Start recording. There we go. Should be live. I'm gonna post the announcements.
Hello, beautiful people.
Hello.
Are we connected?
Are we live? Can you hear us? Can we hear you?
Hello.
Hello. Imagine last time where we could hear everybody in the audience. There we go. It's posted. Do we have anyone? Hello?
Nobody yet.
Nobody. Hello? Everything's clogged.
Watch nobody join the stream. Oh,
Yeah,
we got one.
Oh, we got hello. We got BNScore, hello, and we got Nordwick, hello. We're getting people. Ah,
hello.
Yay. Hello. Barf?
Hi guys, I'm eating a hot pocket.
Let's modify arg, hello. Vernica, hello. The funny mob, yes. Welcome everyone.
Welcome.
Let me double check I have enough disk space. Yeah, good for now, get the space. I don't wanna suddenly run out of this case. Oh my god, and we got Schnopit and Typongs from BD_. Oh my god. Hello and welcome. We are doing another episode of the Resonance. I'm Froox, I'm here with Syro, and in this stream, you can pretty much ask us anything you want about Resonite, anything about ourselves, the team, the past, the future, whatever you want to ask, feel free to ask. Some things we might redirect you to better places, for example moderation office hours. The only thing, make sure to put question mark at the end of your question in the chat. That way kind of pops on our thing. Make sure we don't miss it. And with that we should be able to get started. We're also going to be going through questions from Discord first. And once we're through those, we're going to be going to the Twitch ones. So hopefully some pile up in the meanwhile. So yeah, we should be able to get started. So I might move the camera, just create anchor, group. There we go, just so it's not moving as much. So, is this good? I think this is good.
I think it's good.
I always mess with the camera angle. There we go. So the first question from Discord is from Mintshock. Mintshock, is this readable? Now, Mintshock is asking, follow-up, I was asking, oh no, not to the follow-up. I was asking if save object twice will those, oh I think I know what it is. Mintshock is asking, yeah, if I was more asking in the line, if I save object twice, will those after the duplication only take up exactly as one does, or is metadata for that inventory entry times subterminal zone counted against my storage for each entry? So this is, I think, asking how the storage counting works. Just for the future, please include if you're doing a follow-up, just ask it as a normal question, because it's a week since we've done the last one, and it's the context gets a little bit lost. I think I kind of remember it roughly, but this is now when we're doing the stream, this is what do we get? So make the questions as self-contained as you can. However, there's stuff so thumbnails are technically just assets. So those will count against your storage. So if you if you take an avatar and you save it, for example, multiple times, any assets that are shared are only counted against your storage once, but need to be exactly the same. A thumbnail, it's very likely whenever you save it, the thumbnail is going to be slightly different. It's not going to be the same asset, so that's going to, be also counted against your storage. So typically, the avatar itself, whenever you save it, it actually saves the relative position, where you saved it. That's part of the saved object. That's going to make each copy of it slightly different. So those are the data model asset. That's going to be slightly different for each saved entry. So that doesn't end up getting deduplicated, because they're technically different assets, even if they differ very slightly. However, anything the textures, the meshes, these typically don't change between like, you know, when you save like it multiple times, so those are deduplicated. Stuff like the timestamp, that doesn't actually count against the storage, that's just part of the metadata. The only thing that gets counted are essentially the assets themselves, but also the assets themselves will typically differ slightly for each saved copy, unless you like explicitly save like, you know, the exact same copy. So I hope it kind of answers. What? Next question, oh, this is a long one. Where do I even put this? How do I put this here?
I'll step to the side a little bit.
So, Tito first asking, so I went to a public world where a lot of people are arguing about what Resonite team should do. Their complaints are usual, nothing too serious. But I want to ask about something interesting. I listened to two people arguing. They kept arguing until they decided to stop because they couldn't resolve themselves to a conclusion. One tried to point out flaws in argument, but ultimately failed to help the debate and kept arguing. Then I got so frustrated to listen to these people constantly argue, so I grabbed a corkboard, a bunch of sticky notes and pins, then put all their points onto the board and told them why these argument points are not interacting with each other. The heat became dispersed, which is great. It was very interesting to see different experienced Resonite players have interesting ideas how to see Resonite or can improve. At times they can add insightful statements based on their experience or real-life development to prove their feasibility. Is there any plans to find a way to look at experienced Resonite player inputs in a large data set? Maybe some sort of monthly survey to player base would feel listened to than in the dark argument. And maybe separate survey for a new player, since the first impression input is very valuable when it comes to knowing what they would. Data is quite a powerful thing. I mean, that's kind of like what GitHub is. Like, GitHub is like currently like a way of like, you know, getting feedback, and that's, you know, both for like new players, like, and we get feedback from both new players and we get feedback from like existing players. So a lot of arguments for the, you know, things like features or changes. It already happens on GitHub, like, you know, that is a place where that occurs. So I would say we already have that. Oh my god! Thank you, Briansker, for the subscription. See, we were ready. We prepared the chat. It's spraying the particles here. But yeah, like I would say, like we already kind of have it. We might like do some stuff like in the future. For the survey, it can be a little bit difficult to like usually do one survey and you ask people, you know, what their experience is. Like, are they using it? Like, are they new to Resonite? Are they like using it? We kind of did that like when we did the performance survey. We actually asked people how frequently do you play. You know, we've kind of done that, but it's like more kind of targeted. Generally, like we kind of collect, you know, data through GitHub because that's like, you know, the easiest to kind of like work with. We might do more surveys in the future, like we don't have specific plans for any. Usually there'll be probably more targeted ones. We probably don't do them monthly because, like, you know, there's a lot of admin, there's a lot of preparation, processing data and so on. And right now, one, like, you know, like it would consume like additional bandwidth and it wouldn't necessarily, you know, be something that's actionable. So right now, like, I don't think like we need to do like one right now. Like, usually like we do that, like, you know, when we feel like, you know, we need data for like the next choice. But like if we're like already focused on, you know, working on something, we're not gonna change that focus until the task is finished. So it doesn't make sense to spend a lot of time like gathering additional data, you know, when we're not able to like act on it, because then, like, you know, we just spend a lot of time like gathering the data. But by the time like we're able to act on it, the data is stale. So usually we would like do the survey around the time like where we actually want to make like some kind of decision. And that's kind of, you know, what happened with the performance survey. Like we were kind of deciding, we were like, should we prioritize the IK or should we prioritize performance? And we're actually unsure. We did a survey and it'll help inform the decision. So if you like reach a point like that again, we need to figure out, like, you know, like what is this next path forward for something. Once we kind of like, you know, ready for a new task, we look a lot of the data we have, and if we feel like we need more that we don't have from the existing sources, we'll probably do like a survey. But it tends to be very, you know, case, like situation, like case specific. It's also like, you know, usually whenever we make a decision, there's also like a lot of other things that come into it, like a lot of other kind of needs. So it's like, it's some of the pieces like that we use to determine things, but ultimately, like, everybody has like different idea what should be the next priority, and people have, different needs, different preferences, and usually we need to look at what's the best sort of cost sort of benefit like ratio, like how much time we need to put into something and how much value we'll get out of it, and how well does it set up us for the future and things that are planned to be done after whatever we do. And it also depends currently on what the priorities are. So usually the decision tends to be kind of complex, and like we try to choose ones that like help the platform grow and help us kind of keep this pressure kind of going as much as possible. And that might not be what everyone wants, but it might be like what helps like a lot of people. Even like with the performance, we still had like there was about like from what I remember, like about 10% of people who were like they didn't care about performance, they just wanted better IK. And it kind of sucks that we had to like choose the performance, but it's the thing that like helps most players, that helps gives us more support. And because it gives us more support, we're then able to work on other things, like eventually the IK. But if we choose the IK, maybe like our support will kind of keep dropping because performance will still be number one issue for most people, and that would like lead us into like a little more kind of trouble as a company, because like if we don't get like the support we need, it's gonna be hard to work on things in the future. So I hope this kind of helps. Next question's also from Titefero. They are asking, let's put this here. They're asking, so this is for the moderation team. Oh, but I couldn't find a question straight. I went to read what made us to play Resonite. I found a very interesting promo that generally made me feel unsafe, which is surprising. Their statement provides that the reports are one-sided and targeted player of the report does not have choice to defend themselves. False reports are possible in other games. Is there a way to prevent this? Can we do court hearing method? Both parties need to provide evidence to refute opposing statement and support position. To be on record a hearing video, and there's not will be very entertaining. It might make overalls on this. So, one, like this is better kind of suited for the moderation office hours that just happened like before, like shortly before this one. They should have a thread like in the forum, like if you check, like you should be able to post there. But what I can tell you is that statement, that's not accurate, because whenever the moderation team is like dealing with things, they will oftentimes talk with a person. They will try to gather information and evidence, and then based on the strength of evidence, they make the decision. There's also an appeals process, so even after the decision has been made, the person can make an appeal, and if they present like sufficient evidence that kind of refutes like what happened, the ban is lifted, and there already are mechanisms and they can't really happen. However, one thing I found, and I don't want to talk like about anyone in specific, but I've seen a number of reports where we did, we did like take like a, what's it called, like a moderation action against someone, and the person would be given the reason. Like the moderation team would hear, they would talk with them, they would have have a discussion with them about what they did. And then they actually wouldn't provide anything, that would exonerate them. So they would end up being banned, and then they would go public and essentially lie about the reasons, why they got banned, and they would lie about how the process went, because if they told the truth, that would make them look bad. So that tends to happen quite a good amount. Usually I would say, at least from what I've seen, people who are truthful about the reason they got banned to to their friends and to public, that's more rare than not. So if you look at statements by those people, that tends to give you very, very skewed perspective of how the process works. I can also tell you there actually was a case where somebody did fabricate evidence, and it was found out, and we reversed the actions, like we apologized to the person, and we took a lot more severe actions against the person who fabricated evidence against someone else, because that is a very, very serious matter. So stuff like that can happen, but there's the appeals process, and just and that worked out because we actually found out that the evidence that was submitted was made up, and the person actually did went through quite a lot of effort to do that, to make it look real. And also that person, was then not truthful about what happened, but we're not gonna go into specifics. This actually kind of touches on the other part, because we generally won't do this the court style, because essentially once something goes to court, that is a very serious, there's a very serious kind of approach, and it also makes everything public. And oftentimes moderation efforts, moderation reports, they might deal with sensitive matters, something that you don't necessarily want to air out in public, or maybe it's against someone who if somebody was harassed or somebody was somehow harmed by somebody, they might not want to air it out all in public. So that probably wouldn't be the right approach for this kind of thing. It also might involve people people's identities and other kind of sensitive data, so making that public is also another I don't think that's the right approach for most moderation things. If you look at it at the actual court system, oftentimes companies will also kind of do this, where instead of doing a court case, they will do arbitration and stuff like that, because that doesn't require things to be public. Once with the actual legal system, once you go to the court, things become public, and there's the discovery process, and that then can tend to be harmful in some things, because now everything's kind of part of public domain. Not public domain, but everything's kind of public record. So TLDR, we kind of take a lot of things, people, especially who had moderation, things they can just take it with a big grain of salt. I don't think we would make a public way to approach this, because I don't think this is the good approach for moderation.
Your business is your business.
The next question is also from Titaferro, and it seems it comes with a meme. Let's see. It seems there's a lot of players who would complain and ask questions. Do you have any idea about this? Is it because they didn't answer they asked before, or they are just too afraid to ask? I mean, I don't know. If people don't ask us questions, then we don't really know, because we don't hear about them. If we don't hear from them, why they're not asking questions. It might be they just don't, not aware that the office hours are happening. So we kind of encourage people to encourage people to watch this or ask questions in advance. If they're not asking things, that it's a little bit difficult for us to do something, because we don't have data. If people don't engage with us, then it is hard for us to not know why.
Yeah, TLDR, we don't know. People don't tell us.
And the last question, I think this is the last one. I'm gonna not sing over the preview.
Yeah, that should be the last one in the thread.
There we go. The last one is from Papaltine. For a project I'm working on, sometimes engineering malformers on records where an import them, they cause the game to freeze or crash because of things like incorrect type names in the record. Is that something that I should make issues about? It's caused by a bug in my stuff, but I would think Resonite should fail more gracefully and generate a missing component object or something instead of taking down user session. It kind of depends. I would probably say make the report. It's kind of hard to judge it without knowing what exactly is happening. Yeah, I would say make a GitHub report. Like, depending on what it is, like we might just kind of harden something. But also, if it's not a bug, on our end, we might not really prioritize it. Because like if you're doing something that's kind of breaking stuff and you're kind of doing something non-standard, like we might just be like sanitize your code. It depends what it is. If it's something that's like relatively simple, like sanitization on our end, we just kind of throw an exception instead of just trying to handle something. We might just make the change, but without any additional details, I can't really tell you what the best course like on our end would be. But I would say just make the GitHub and we'll look at it and then we'll decide how to approach it. So with this, we're through all the Discord questions, and we got our usual snippet from Grand UK. Actually, I can put it up here. So Grand is asking snippet. I'm gonna consult my snippet document.
The schnoppiment.
The snippet. Actually, no, wait. I have one. I have one that's relatively short, but like my snippet is that my snippet is like that, like is my kind of personal is like I've been very, very brain foggy lately. Like after like working on the splitting in, it took a lot, and I've been trying to like start like working on things, and like I would just end up like spending entire day like trying to like make something work, and I'm barely making any progress because my brain's just not braining, and like then I'm like I don't like this. I feel like I need to do things. I need to fix stuff and do there are a lot of bugs and like things to still clean up, and I'm not making any progress, and I'm trying to force it, and it just doesn't work. And it's kind of like blah, and so that's kind of like my snippet. Yeah, his brains don't do braining. Do you have a snippet yourself?
Do I have a snippet? Let me think for a moment. Is there anything that I'm sniping about? I don't think I have any like explicit schnoppets, which is, I don't know, good. But yeah, I can't.
No, I can always save it for next time.
I guess if you wanted something out of me, I guess I'm also kind of feeling a little burnt out. So, yeah.
We'll do some snippet then. But we also got Typunks by BD_. I would say actually mine is like so like whenever we like work on things, it is actually somewhat related. It's like we tend to deal with a lot of sort of like negative stuff. Stuff is broken, stuff is missing, stuff is not working the way it is supposed to, and we spend a lot of time kind of like fixing things, and that can get like quite a lot because like it's just like every day just dealing with things are broken, things are missing, things are not implemented, and it just becomes very kind of stressful, and like it's just like we're seeing only that. But like what helps a lot is like when we kind of when we fix some things or when we improve things, things get implemented. For me, Typhonix is like people who, when we fix something, we fix their issue or we improve something, they sometimes come to us like in game or online or like whenever, and they're like thank us for fixing things, and that actually helps a lot because now we feel like like instead of just things all being broken and everything's missing and everything's awful all the time, we feel we made like good progress, and feels like we actually made like a good difference, and that makes like all that kind of work it's almost like gives like catharsis for like all the like work like we put into things, and it doesn't feel like it's just kind of endless toil of like broken things, but like we're actually kind of improving things for people. So, and for everyone who does that, like thank you.
I guess my Typunks would be that I've actually been kind of like discovering or rediscovering how useful spatial variables are. They are just the bee's knees, man. They are so, like, even if you're not using them spatially, just having like a unique spatial variable that like is like kind of prefix, so you kind of namespace it to like coagulate or like accumulate a dynamic amount of things. It's just so handy. Like being able to get like the maximum angle something has like many things have rotated, you know, which one has the most maximum angle it's rotated. It's just so easy. It just does it. It's just basically free. It does it for me. It's so nice.
Yeah. I like how your typongs is my typongs. But yeah, I wanted to add spatial variables for so long because I was like, it's gonna be super powerful. The next question is from Modify Arc. What is the dark orb around you?
Dark orb?
I don't actually know what you mean.
I mean, there's that orb. That's like a checkerboard, but I don't know.
But it's not very dark. You might need to clarify a bit. We don't know the meaning of the dark orb. So adjusting the camera angle a bit. Oh. Next questions from BD underscore. What is your BD underscore is asking, what is your resonance frequency? I don't actually know what it's. If it's a silly question or if you're asking how. I mean, like you would know, like because every week, so it's like weekly. But so the answer is 7. Yeah, 7. The answer is 7.
I guess if you wanted a serious answer, it's whatever your simulation frame size is, and whatever frequency you can hum to make a standing wave in a waveform visualizer.
It's 7. Oh, good cutie question. Kalishfur is asking, do you think we should take the bikini bottom and push it somewhere else?
We'll take bikini bottom and push it somewhere else.
Is that a meme that I missed?
It's a SpongeBob thing.
Oh my god, of course it's SpongeBob. Why did I not assume it's a SpongeBob reference? I should just assume it's a SpongeBob reference. Frozen Alex is asking, better tune shade when? Poemi or light tune like?
No.
Wait. So we're not gonna get like Poemi, like that one. It doesn't really work well with Resonite.
No.
However, if you have like specific requests, you can always make like a GitHub issue, like ask us like what feature you want, what features are you kind of like missing. But the general answer is like we might for like any huge shader work, we might end up like waiting until we switch away from like Unity for the renderer, because we'll be able to do custom shaders at that point, and at that point like you can just make whatever like whatever tune shader you want. So depending on what it is, like, depending on what features are like missing, like we could make like kind of tweaks or changes, but it depends on the specific request, because like we don't know like what better means. Better could mean like maybe you're just missing like a single texture mode, or maybe like you want like a completely different shading mode or something. So it's kind of hard to answer like this.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't do something like Poemi straight up.
Next question is from Likeable Artist. They're asking, cause editing bone transform in Blender is easier than Resonite. Is there a way of importing bone transforms from Blender to Resonite? Example, using animations for a single frame.
I'm not sure how that relates. Like,
I mean, you can like import like just like empty like gray like this. It should work, but I don't know what exactly you're trying to do.
Yeah, like I don't know how this relates to Unity animations, but yeah, you can just like, you don't need a mesh on it. You can just import the rig itself.
Yeah. Questions asking, Navy 3001, can we set a custom stamp for anniversary event, or is it set image? I don't actually know. That's just more like Kuroma question. Next question we got is from Grand UK. This is another big one. Grand is asking, I'm trying to write a plugin to do funny things with lists, but strings fall into value. the list input and objects output. I already sidestepped the list input problem with async list as input, but how do I make sure type constraints for object input output type allow strings? The constraint for object type I currently have is where T classing member, but this excludes strings. Use nullable T. I'm not really sure what you're asking. It's a lot of things.
I mean, the last part, strings aren't like sync members. Sync members are like things in the world. Yeah. They're not like any one data type. They're part of like a component and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, just I don't really like what, like, it's kind of like, yeah, there's just not those things. Like, if you're like using sync member, like those like strings, URIs and nullables, like they need to be contained within like a sync field. Like, but it's really hard. Like, this is like very specific. I don't have like no context.
If you could be more specific in like a follow-up question, that might help.
Yeah. Getting K is also asking, will you raid into someone streaming Resonite after finish office hours, like the moderation office hours did? If there's somebody streaming, then yes. Next question's from a master. Question. Why are some slots not allowed to be moved around, like role slot? What is stopping these slots, since I don't see what's preventing those slots from moving? There's like a security thing, just to kind of avoid like people messing with it and breaking the permissions. Zemarcus, I'm pretty sure that's Colin, is asking, I'm trying to wrap my head around CSOL because I found bug in assembly postprocessor. Is there any advice so I can avoid losing my sanity from CSOL? Also, is there any good way I can debug the game? No, you will lose your sanity. I've done so like multiple times myself. Like, you will lose your sanity. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not pretty. You like if you found the bug, let us fix it. If you want to lose your sanity, go ahead. We'll stop you, but you don't have to if you already found the bug.
It also might be bug in CSOL because actually, when working on things, I found a bug in CSOL where it would explode on trying to process specific code. It would just explode, and the way I fixed it, I literally took the same code and just moved it into its own function that's just being called. So it fixed it. Like, now it doesn't explode. Like, and I even like left a comment in the code. I'm like, this is a separate function because CSOL explodes. Like, trying to process the the function like data like on this. So it's you will lose your sanity. I'm sorry.
At least we're not like weaving new assemblies and loading them at runtime.
Next question's from Z the Cheetah. They're asking, how does the block party event for anniversary work on mobile HOUT? Again, that's more Chroma question. Like, I'm not like organizing it myself, so I'm sorry I don't have answers for you. You might want to ask like at the like the art team office hours in case like Chroma actually I don't know if it usually it's not there. But they might not more because they kind of work with Chroma more directly. Modify Arc is asking, question for Syro, how is progress going on with this clipboard support on Linux? Are you still planning to use SDL for that?
2 words. Hell no. I'm not using SDL for it. I tried for 12 hours straight before the splitting was released to make the SDL clipboard work. No way, no how does that thing want to work. Unless you have a window that is made by SDL3 and the user has focused it themselves and it just doesn't happen to be focused, like automatically, the clipboard is just really inconsistent and finicky and won't function correctly. So we can't use SDL for clipboard either. And we also can't use it for the audio system, but there was a community effort to make like a little Rust library called WO. I think it's based on like WO Clipboard RS or something, and that just kind of works. The reason it hasn't been done yet is just primarily because I've also been very burnt out and only very recently got to some feedback that was left on the PR. So It has been a journey, to say the least.
Yeah. It's soon TM. But yeah, we got burned on SDL. Next question's from BD_. On stream we can see dark sphere in the background centered around either camera or Froox. Is that a sphere?
There's no sphere.
I have a confusion.
I don't see it.
I'm literally looking at the...
Let me look at the stream on Twitch.
I'm looking at the, like, OBS and I don't see anything.
Let me look on Twitch and see.
What? How? Huh?
And I gotta wait for stupid ads.
Oh yeah, revenue.
Yeah, I'm giving us revenue. One more view.
Revenue. I don't see it on the stream either. Like I just opened it and I'm like, I don't know. Is there like some kind of meme or something? I don't know.
I'm still waiting for the ad.
I don't see it. I might need to clarify. So Peter's asking, what does the floor keep vibrating in that wall? Oh my god! Thank you, Aimben, for the subscription. Peter's asking, what does the floor keep vibrating in that world? Also, you noticed.
Why not?
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Modify Arc is asking clarification on Dark Orb. It looks that there's slightly tinted bubble around Froox.
Can one of you send like a picture or something or whatever?
I have no idea.
like not in the Twitch chat, but like just like maybe post it in like the screenshots channel or something or somewhere like off topic maybe.
Yeah.
We don't see it.
Kikon's asking, repeating my question to Prime, what sort of wire switching puzzles would you like to see in a sci-fi adventure game?
I don't know. I don't really play sci-fi adventure games, sorry.
Something unique? I don't know. Something that doesn't... I don't know. It depends. Usually with puzzles like that, like they need to be like fun and not too repetitive and not too tedious. Gernik is asking, is there a reason why you can grab a reference to a list but not bags from components with them on? I mean, bags are usually not like used more like directly, but it might just be like that's missing implementation. Like missing like a thing to be added. The bags are usually not like really exposed directly, like so because they're like more internal kind of type-ish. But actually no, there's like a few cases. It might just be missing like a handling for that in the code. Next question is Likeable Artist is asking, I guess I have avatar that has multiple bone animation strips that have bone transforms. I just don't know who to find those animations to get those bone transforms, so how would I find those on avatar?
Usually if you have animations that are coming in with the model, you can choose to place all of the assets on the model in the import dialog under the extra settings, and that should place any discrete animation clips that you have on the rig on the actual like thing you import.
But also if you're using it for avatar, like usually animations don't work with avatar because the avatar becomes driven, you know, by IK and stuff like that, so that doesn't quite work.
Yeah, if you're doing it for the avatar, that's a very manual setup to kind of like lerp and slurp between the rotations of the IK and the animations or whatever.
I guess the question is like what are we like, you know, trying to achieve, like because I'm kind of not understanding it right now. Next question's from Nukikon. I think this is like more Syro question. With KDE now so much better than Windows Window Manager, Valve pushing support for Arch Proton to Steam Deck, and Microsoft bumbling about Windows 10.11 too hard, do you think there will be a year of Linux?
People have been saying this will be the year of the Linux for about half of my lifetime at this point.
Yeah.
It'll be the year of the Linux when it's the year of the Linux. I don't think there's really a good way to predict that. I mean, Microsoft is kind of, in my opinion, bumbling their OS, but
Yeah.
I think that there's still a lot of holdouts on Windows, and including a lot of my friends, because they need something that works with their existing workflow. They don't have time like I do to take the leap of faith, and maybe Linux will work well for them, maybe it won't. They don't have the ability for that kind of time investment to see if it works.
Oh my god, thank you. Oh my god.
Oh man.
Thank you, Billy underscore.
Well,
Oh my god, it's so
thank you very
many.
much. Also,
Wait.
I did get a... Ooh.
Did we hit the data limit yet?
Yeah, whoever's counting how many we got, hit it. Counter person, do it. I did get a message from my friend Raid, who's watching this through MPV, and we don't have any dark sphere around us, and at least to them. So
I'm very maybe Twitch is doing a weird thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I would be very curious to see what you guys see.
I'm very confused.
Oh, hang on, we have the darks. Oh, hang on. We got a picture of it.
Can you bring it in?
Yeah, one moment. Copy. Paste. Apparently that, and then there's one more.
What?
And we got this one here.
What?
I think that's just like the reflection on the floor. That's like...
Yeah, like I don't see any dark sphere.
Oh, I see. So that is the inside border of a sphere that's around us. You can actually see on the floor if you look very closely when you walk around. There's a little border in front of you. Do you see the little...
right. Yeah. Oh, I see it. Okay.
That's what you guys mean. I thought you were saying there was like a...
Post-processing.
Yeah, that's like whatever this world has to kind of do like the fog layer. We thought you... I don't think
it's a fog layer. It might be the post-processing.
It might be the depth. It might be the depth filter. Honestly,
yeah,
what they might be
this
using.
is post-processing. No. This is... Actually, maybe it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the depth filter. But we thought you guys meant like there's a dark sphere like haloing us or something crazy like that, or like there's like a ghost behind us or whatever. Okay,
yeah.
well,
it's actually another thing. That's like sometimes like when people do like effects, they want them to be around the player. They'll put like a sphere around their head, but you don't actually need to do that. You can make like with most filters, you can make sphere that's like huge, and it just renders all on top of everything. And it's a better way to do it because like you won't like clip through it, or if you like use a camera, that camera will not like exit. Yeah. So in case like you're doing those kinds of effects, like there might be a better approach.
Yeah, but anyway, most of the filters, yeah.
To the actual question,
yeah, it'll happen when it happens. There's no way to predict it, really.
I don't think it's like a... I think it's gonna be more like a gradual process than like, just suddenly like boom, like Linux. And like things like that, like they kind of help because I'm kind of in a similar boat where I kind of want to switch to Linux because I don't like what is happening to Windows. I have lots of issues with it, but I need things to just work. And general Linux doesn't do that. Like it's like it requires a lot of kind of fiddling about, and I don't have time for that because I need I need to like work on things. So like if I don't have like time to dedicate. Oh my god!
Thank you. More subs.
Oh my god, there's one more.
Thank you very much for the subs. I'm going to continue talking now.
But it's I really want to switch. Every time I try Linux, like something just explodes or doesn't work. So it's and I'm missing some software. But like the more stuff is made to work, the easier it is because it's kind of peeling away like one reason after another, like why I'm not able like to use it myself. And I feel that's gonna be for a lot of people. And the more Linux improves and the more like it makes it easy to use, more people will be able to switch to it, and that's why I think like it's just be more gradual process.
Yeah, and make no mistake, Linux can work well. It just takes a little bit more elbow grease to get it into a working state, and that's time that a lot of people don't have.
Thank you so much, BD_.
Yes, thank you.
What account do you see if we reach the author? We've reached the author limit.
Yeah, if somebody's counting otters.
Next question is from Modify Arc. One needs to be updated so I can see raccoon emoji in game. It just shows up as tofu. We just need to update like the font chain, so it like includes like newer versions. I don't know like which one includes it, so but usually it's that. Navy 3001 is asking, is it true that slot count doesn't matter anymore? It never mattered in the first place. There's actually been like one of... Actually, I think I have that on my like Schnopit list, because that's like one of those things that like keeps like, perpetuating where people use it as a measure of performance, and it's a really bad measure of performance. There can be some coloration where like, something that has a lot of slots will be really heavy, but it's not guaranteed. Like you can have like the way I like to compare it to is almost like, measuring performance of a car by counting how many screws it has. And maybe, car that has a lot of screws is like very big heavy car, because like for a big car, like you need a lot more screws because it's more larger volume, but maybe it's constructed just from like big pieces and there's not as many screws, so maybe it's heavy anyways. Or maybe you have a very small and light car, but it has a lot of tiny screws, and it's like really fast, and very light. So it's, well, there might be some like indication. It's like a really, really bad measure of like, performance. Because slots by themselves, they don't really do much. The heaviness of the slots, is gonna depend what you put on them. What components you put on them, like, like if you have, thank you, thank you Dr. Psycortex for the subscription. But yes, it essentially like is not a good like metric for performance, and we've been kind of saying that like for a while, and people keep like using it anyways, and it's a little bit frustrating because like it's one of those things where like we don't know like what to do, because like we tell people like this is not really a good way to like measure performance, this is not what should be looking at, but people do that anyways, and it's one of those things that just kind of keeps perpetuating through the community, even though like we try to combat it, and just kind of like make people think more about like how performance works and what affects performance and what doesn't affect it. Like you could make something that's very few slot, maybe like we can make like a thing that has a single slot that's gonna be way heavier to exist than a thing that has 10,000 slots. So it's not a good measure of performance.
Yeah, I keep seeing people like say like, yeah, I know it's not a good measure of performance, but I just use it for blah 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 blah, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, well, don't use it for blah 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 blah. It's not a good measure of performance. I don't care how many slots you're looking at to get an idea. There's no idea. It does not give an indicator of anything. It doesn't matter, like in terms of in-game performance. The only thing it like might kind of affect if you have a lot is like serialization and deserialization, but even then you need to get a lot of slots before it starts hitting that.
Yeah, it's
so stop it.
It's like usually like with performance you kind of want to look like more like how much like execution time like something takes, and usually the best way to like measure of something, because performance tends to be very, very, very complex, it can go like very complex interactions, is do sort of like A/B testing. Take like whatever object you're making of whatever avatar, make lots of duplicates, see how it kind of performs, and then like take another avatar, do the same amount of duplicates, and then compare how much the timings change. Try to do like kind of clean scenario, but measure how much actual kind of time like things take. And also keep in mind some things, say for example, you use the find child node and you actually use it on the root and you search the entire root. If you're in a simple world, that's gonna be probably reasonably fast, you might not even notice it, but then you actually go and you're gonna be like, oh, this performs well. Then you go into a lot more complex world that has way more stuff, and now it becomes way heavier because now it has to kind of scan a lot more stuff. So it's even the same thing can the performance can depend on the scenario, and oftentimes you need to kind of adjust your approach to make things be kind of more efficient, and see how think about the performance impact of individual kind of things. For example, with slots, another thing is say if you have a lot of colliders, if you put a lot of colliders and those slots all move around, then those colliders need to be updated. That's going to be heavier versus those slots not having colliders, or just having something that doesn't update when their world position changes. So for example, if you have something like the inspector has lots of slots, but a lot of those they're more just kind of information, so you mostly just have some small memory cost for each, but they're not actually being recalculated at a frame because they don't need to be. So think of slots, slots are the skeleton, and you put stuff on it, and you can put heavy stuff on them, you could put light stuff on them, you can organize things. Oh my god, thank you Boros for the subscriptions. Oh my god, we're getting a lot today. I think this is trouble. Either it's cursed or it's very close to the other.
Yeah, I think we're about to get very aquatic on this stream next time.
The authors. Oh my god.
Alright, yeah, okay. Alright, pal, alright.
I feel... Oh.
I didn't mean to spawn that. Oh, wait. Oh, how'd I get rid of these?
Oh my god. Thank you, Nitrite. Oh my god. I feel like we should just call it and be like, yeah, we're
yeah, let's just say it's done now. We're gonna do it.
We're gonna be authors. I need to find an aquatic world too. But yes. Oh my god. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's happening. People want the author. But yes, don't use slots look at what's actually on the thing and measure how much actual impact it has when it exists in the world.
Yeah.
Also I don't want to get too big into it, but also with .NET 9 we'll be able to add more profiling tools which might help give you more better metrics for things. But
Tracy Profiler.
We should go to the other questions. OZ's asking, from what I understand from the GitHub issue, EL to C++ is kinda not looking that good due to a number of reasons. We will pull the thing. Renderite is fairly slim in regards to simply doing Unity stuff. I think is IL to C++ just that iffy on our version. IL to C++, in my... I've been trying to make it work for years, with things, and it's painful. It will just explode on the weirdest stuff, and then you have to jump through hoops just to make it work. And I've tried to just compile things, and it explodes trying to process some generics, and I've actually done some digging into it, and those generics are coming from the lists, just the common C# collection data type, and I'm okay, we're not getting rid of that, and it just kind of explodes on that because it doesn't some combination of generics used somewhere, but it doesn't tell you where, which is one of the reasons why it's so painful. Its error reporting is awful. Oftentimes you will not know what is actually causing things to error out, and you have to do a lot of digging to figure it out, and it's just it hasn't really been worth the effort. And I tried to get like the entire Froox engine to work with it. I actually got to work like at one point after like 2 years, which included like a bunch of like back and forth with Unity to fix bugs with it. But like now it's just like, I don't think it's like, like I tried a bit, but I don't think it's worth the effort. It might potentially help with some things, which is another thing. Like I'm like, and is it even like worth the effort? Because I'm like, I tried. If it was like, not too much effort to just compile it and it won't explode, then we could try it, see if it's better. Oh my god, thank you. That's another one. But yeah, like it's too much effort, and I don't think it's I don't think it's worth it. Like, because it might not even be better. It might be, but it also might not be. We don't know until we try, and it takes a lot of effort to try. So I'm just gonna like throw that one away.
Yeah, we just need a new render, man.
We just need, I mean, we're gonna like move to a different render, and we'll have like more news on that soon. So keep tuned. And there's also a bunch of stuff for the sphere.
What?
Glitch was asking, what breed is your doggy in blue hood? What?
I'm a pine marten. I'm not a dog. And also, like... okay. What? Weird.
Nitride 2 is asking, any update on fully procedural from scratch meshes? We have lots of them.
Well, I mean,
Like,
I think they mean, like, being able to define your own vertices and stuff.
Oh. Like, I mean, it's like, I don't know what exactly they mean, because that means multiple things. Just
I think what they mean is probably, like, being able to be like, all right, this vertex is here, these are its UVs, this is normal, etc., and, like, you make triangles and stuff and build a mesh, like, from scratch.
There's planned. If that's what you're asking, it's planned. Like if you want to generate your own, but like if you're asking just procedural meshes in general, then like you can just, we have lots of them. Next question, seems like a follow-up. Like an artist, I have a bunny avatar that has multiple different positions and transforms for ears, tail, and things that wouldn't be driven by a K. Should animations still work? They might. Like if you're not driving any of the, like, the skeleton, like these like bits, like it might. I haven't actually like done that setup myself, so like I can't like tell you for sure.
As long as it's not being driven by the IK, it should work just fine.
And Modifier is asking, author stream? Yes, I will. Yeah. We told people if we get like, oh, is it not out yet? 141 out of 200 subs.
Alright, we got 59 more. Let's go, guys. Come on.
Does it count the previous streams? But yeah, like we will do author stream. We will become authors and be very author-y. BD_, first an eldritch texture, now a chromatic sphere. This one technically pre-exists that. This is one of the MMC worlds. Next question's from a Master. So let's check time. We're in an hour. So we still got an hour to go. Master, will there be a better way for feature pumps for native post-processing in the Resonite Froox engine? Yeah, like once we, so there's like two things. One, we want to have like, nice system in games. We can like define like, set of filters, how post-processing works. And you can, assign it to cameras, you can assign it to user views. So like you have like much better control over it. The other part is once we actually switch render and you're able to do custom shaders, you can just make a shader to do like, whatever post-processing you want. And I think it's going to be very powerful. And next question is from Nukikun. Advice on whether or not to use hyperthreading in Resonite in the post-botanic era. Test it out, test it both ways, see which gives you better performance. It's one of those things is you gotta measure things. Next question from Modify Arc Resonite Distro. I think like somebody was like considering like idea of like doing one like that's like optimized for playing Resonite. That'd be kind of cool.
Maybe kind of neat.
Nicking's asking, would you use Resonite as default window manager if someone made a version of Linux that let you? I don't know how that would work.
I don't think I would, just because like I kind of do like my the rest of my computer being separate from Resonite. You know, just because I don't know, I like my desktop the way it is.
Modify is asking, are Resurrect or SDB links clickable from the Twitch chat viewer that you're using? I don't think they are.
No.
Probably just have to copy them. Next question's from Ozzy. Ozzy's asking, actually something I've been curious about and perhaps advanced question. We have a lot more information in the war step found in debug for sub and timer in the engine wait time. Could you explain what exactly these mean, or when should be useful to read those metrics? I mean, I can kind of go through it. Wonder if I should move the camera. Let me do this. The camera to manual, and I will move it here. And then I'll make it render private UI, so you can like, let's see, render private UI, there we go, so you can see my dash, and I'll move this out of the way, and let's open the debug worlds. So we have a few things there. It's actually kind of hard because I can't see it like over the camera. So you got the frame rate, that's pretty much, you know, your frame rate. You got the engine update time, that's sort of like the how long it takes for the engine to update like total, but it also doesn't mean like all of this time is processing. Some of this time might be, you know, waiting on the render to do its stuff. It's just measuring how long it takes between like each tick of the engine, you know, to do things. Then you got render time. This one only works when you're in VR because this one you actually take directly from Unity, and this indicates how long it took Unity to actually render the scene. But Unity only reports this in VR. It doesn't report it in desktop, so in desktop this is not gonna show anything. Then you got engine frame start wait time. This is actually on the Froox engine side, when it finishes all its work and it's like, okay, I can start another update, it actually needs to wait for the renderer to be like, okay, like I'm ready for another frame, and here's also like, you know, new input data. This is how long it's waiting for, you know, Unity, the renderer, to tell it like, you know, I'm ready to start. So this essentially Froox engine is not doing anything like synchronous, like it still might be doing background jobs, but it's essentially just waiting for the renderer to tell it like, you know, it's ready. And usually this will be high if you're more rendering constrained. So like if the Froox engine processing is too fast, then, you know, it essentially has to wait on the renderer to be like, you know, ready for another frame. And you can also see how many bytes, I've kind of added like when I was debugging specific thing, you can see when the renderer sends a message saying, okay, I'm ready for a new frame, it sends stuff like, you know, the inputs and like lots of other stuff like that it measures. And this is the size of the message in bytes, how much that big, how big that is. And it's like, you know, serialized message. Then you have engine start to submit time. This is actually when the engine starts like a new update tick. To how long, you know, how long the engine actually takes in actual processing to submit a new frame. So this is like, you know, the engine, it got like the render is ready for a new frame, it starts doing its processing, you know, updates everything, updates all the worlds, and then generates a new frame update, and then submits it to the renderer, and then it's, you know, done with like that job. It still does some work afterwards, but it's not measured here. This is like literally how long it takes from the renderer being, I'm ready for a new frame, here's the new input data, for the engine to submit a new frame. And you can actually see this, like, you know, tends to hover around like 8, 9, 10 milliseconds. So the like, if the render like, you know, was if I was not rendering anything, I would get like around like 100 frames, 100 FPS. Then you also get a render start to submit time. This is kind of similar-ish thing, but it's measured from the render side. So it tends to be similar value to this one, but usually it'll be slightly higher. This is actually the render when the render starts a new tick. It gets, you know, all the input data and tells Froox engine, I'm ready for a new frame, sends it over. Froox engine generates it, updates. And then this is how long it takes from the render starting its tick, telling the engine it's ready for a new frame, to receiving a new frame. So that's gonna be slightly higher because you have, like, you know, you have like time that it takes for the Froox engine to communicate over IPC. The new frame is ready, and also, like, you know, to process whatever the frame start information was. So this should generally be similar to this previous one, just slightly higher. And actually I used it like during the development process because this was too high. And I noticed, like, you know, it was I tuned the IPC mechanism to, like, you know, not have like a lot of overhead. Then you have frame process to next begin time. This is also coming from the render side. This is essentially when the render processes, it finishes processing, you know, whatever frame data it was sent by the Froox engine, to when the next, you know, essentially tick starts. And this includes any sort of rendering that, like, Unity does, and also like any Unity stuff, you know, that comes after our engine updates. So like if there's any, like, you know, SteamVR, like, you know, whatever scripts exist on Unity side, they will contribute to this time if they happen, you know, before or after our update loop. Then I got asset integration time. This is specifically measuring. So on the render side, when the renderer sends a new, essentially says like, I'm ready for a new frame, here's input data, instead of doing nothing while it waits, it actually integrates assets. So like if there's any texture uploads, any material uploads, any mesh uploads, it'll be processing those. And this is actually one of the reasons like why loading is so fast now, is because all the time that Froox engine is computing your frame, the renderer will be uploading stuff to the GPU to, like, you know, utilize that time. However, one thing you have to be cautious about this one is it doesn't this doesn't mean all its time was actually spent uploading assets, because if it doesn't have anything to upload, it'll just wait. Like it'll sleep until it receives something from, like, you know, Froox engine, which it can, because like our asset uploading is actually multi-threaded and runs in background. So even if Froox engine is computing stuff, it can still be sending assets to upload to the renderer. So like that will, like, you know, make it wake up and, like, you know, some processing. But if you see, like, you know, for example, if you see 10 milliseconds here, it might be like, it's possible if there's not too much upload, it'll maybe spend, like, you know, 1 millisecond uploading the assets, and the 9 milliseconds it was just kind of sleeping, waiting on your frame. You also got particle extra time. We actually give particle systems a little extra time to process, to update. That way, you know, they're actually run smoother. This technically lowers the overall frame rate a bit, like if it becomes too big, but it makes particle systems a little bit smoother, because for the normal asset processing, the moment like Froox engine is ready with a new frame, we stop asset like integration and we, like, you know, do more of it next frame. But with particles, we don't want to wait, because it might include whatever was computed in that frame, so we give it a little extra time to process. And then you can actually see how many tasks were processed. These are, like, you know, it's generally tasks. You can also see how many times it waited on a handle. This is how many times the renderer has slept, you know, when essentially it reached a point, it was like, okay, I don't have anything more to process, I'm gonna sleep, and then I'm gonna, like, you know, if something comes, that's gonna wake it up. And this is actually kind of telling you how many times roughly it, like, woke up, you know, during Froox engine computing, you know, like a thing. And then you also get remaining tasks. There's how many tasks were essentially left after it finished processing. So when it has a bunch of stuff to process, and then it receives a new frame, it essentially stops processing. This is how many tasks are left at the end of that. And you got like normal task, high priority task, render task, and particle tasks. And you can see there might be some normal remaining tasks. Generally, high priority should be low because it processes those with high priority. So usually you see the remaining tasks, particles, they're also 0 because like they have a little extra time for processing. Then you also got frame update handle time. This is how long it takes on the render side to actually process the frame update that Froox engine generated. So that's essentially applying all the updates, for the state of the scene, for like rendering, how long they take to process. And then includes the updates themselves, and can also include stuff like, for example, we have reflection probes that render, or spherical harmonics that compute that will contribute to this time. We also have shared memory managers because we use shared memory to communicate between the processes, and there's like managers that where systems can allocate blocks, but those blocks are allocated from memory managers, which allocate a bigger block, typically 16 megabytes, and they'll essentially allocate small chunks of that and then free them. You can see there's currently 4 in use. One of them is actually empty because in use there's 3. It actually keeps one reserved, just so it doesn't have to kind of keep allocating and deallocating them. It also tells you if it's pruning. If it detects there's too many unused ones, it starts pruning, where essentially it'll mark them, and if they're unused for long enough, it'll just deallocate them and free up memory. And as you can see, it's currently using 42 megabytes. That's used to communicate between the Froox engine and the renderer. There's how much free memory is, and capacity 64, which kind of works out because there's 4 of them, and the minimum size is 16 megabytes. And they can be bigger if something like a big assets are being uploaded, it allocates a bigger one, but the minimum size is 16 megabytes. And then you got typical updates. This is Froox engine side. This is actually how long it takes to update the world. The frame start is how long it essentially waits on the render, to be okay, I'm ready for another frame, you can start computing things. Then you got a setup video, this one's pre-existing. This is actually running in parallel. So the audio update time, this is in background, because the audio system, it runs fully asynchronously from the main thread. So even if everything freezes, all the main thread freezes, audio still works because it updates asynchronously. It's specifically designed that way because you don't want your audio to freeze. But this is how long each audio takes to process. You want to be careful with this time. If you I've seen some worlds where audio would start degrading, and the culprit was actually the world had dozens of listeners, because each listener takes time to update. If this starts getting too big, generally this should be under a millisecond, or if it starts getting say above 5 milliseconds, there's probably something wrong. You should check if you have maybe too many listeners that shouldn't be active. You also get how many samples are available. That's essentially how much the buffer has for playback. If this runs to 0, that's when you get clicks. That's when it underruns. And you can actually have count of the underruns as well. Let's see what else is there. This one, actually, I think this one's broken. I might need to fix this one. And then I got individual word updates. There's the user space, there's my local, and there's this word, how long it takes to update. And these ones I think are also broken right now. I might need to fix those. So yep, that goes over this stuff. I'm gonna move the camera back now, and I will disable private UI, and I hope that answers the question. I hope it was a good info. What would be the in the explanation? You asked for one. Okay. One thing I'm also gonna mention. Not all of those times they're they're not exclusive. They you cannot add all of them together. That's not how long things take. Some of the timings there. They measure different time points, so one of the times can be say if this is your timeline, and you've got like some events, like here happens something, happens here, something happens here, something happens. Some of them will measure something like this, that will give you this time, some of them will give you this time. So like some of the timings will actually include some of the other timings, because I've seen like some people kind of get confused by it, where they think it's all happening in sequence and you just sum all these together. That's not actually the case. It is for some of them, but not for all of them. So they might kind of confusing, because if you add them together, it would kind of work out that like you should have like a lot lower frame rate than you really have. Next question. Thursday subs. Nokikun is asking, is there a way to ensure Resonite is connecting to session over LAN? I've been hosting on one computer with VR on the other. Generally Resonite will prefer like LAN if it's already on LAN. Make sure like you don't have. Make sure you don't. No, you don't have to. Make sure.
I've always had to, otherwise it doesn't work.
What? That's not how it works.
If I don't set it to LAN, I have to. If I don't set it to LAN, it won't connect through LAN.
That's not how it works.
It works. That's how it works.
Actually, do you have? What I was gonna say. One thing you have to make sure under network, make sure disable LAN is not actually toggled. Because there might be what's happening, like maybe you disabled like a thing, maybe we override it, like when you do that. But normally what Resonite does is if you're running, on local network, it actually sends, it uses UDP broadcast to announce the session on LAN, so other computers will pick up that information, and they'll prefer that information for connecting. So there could be cases on specific, there can be cases, for specific, like, networks. Maybe you block some of that. In that case, it will not work. But generally, it should work. Like I actually use it a lot myself. Because I do kind of testing. So make sure the disable LAN is not. Make sure the disable LAN is not disabled. You can also try. There's prefer TCP. You can toggle it on, because on LAN it's gonna use TCP because it knows the direct IP address because it's on the same local network, and TCP tends to work really well on local network. But the LAN it doesn't that doesn't do anything for the actual connections. When you set it to LAN, what it does, it only sends the LAN broadcast. So it doesn't send information to the cloud about the session, it only sends it on local network, and that's what that setting does. So, which is kind of weird that it wouldn't work, but I think maybe you had it disabled? I don't know.
I just know that if I wanted to connect through LAN, it would only choose LAN if I set the session to LAN.
That's weird.
Otherwise it would try to punch through.
That's very weird. Are you sure you didn't have
Yeah.
You didn't have disable LAN
Yeah.
toggled?
Are
you sure you didn't have it in any of the config files?
Yeah, no, I had nothing in the. I actually had enable TCP on in the config for my server, and it didn't work until I set it to LAN.
That doesn't make any sense. I feel like there's something going on.
I don't know. To me, it says LAN, so I'm gonna set it to LAN, and it worked.
But that's not how it works.
This is how it works for me.
I think there might be something else going on.
We gotta fight to the death now.
I say if it doesn't work, make a GitHub issue. But the LAN, it doesn't.
No, Froox, I'm just gonna complain to you about it.
Oh.
Is your neck longer?
Oh, is your neck longer? Is the IK? And what if is asking Raccoon stream after Otter stream? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Abysmal 5223 is asking, Does forcing render decoupling in graphic settings doubling my frame rate in 20 user session mean I need double the CPU performance? Kinda, yeah. Like, it essentially means, like, you know, like, you're not, you're CPU bound in that session, which means, like, the GPU, like, you know, if it's just a render, it can push, like, double the frame rate. So if the CPU was able to, like, you know, go twice as fast, like, update the world twice as fast, then, like, you should have, like, you know, twice the frame rate. Which is actually one of the reasons, like, it was added, is, you know, so it's a good measure of whether you're CPU bound or GPU bound. I'm Ben 20, sorry, not 20, 0258 is asking, do you get money from Twitch subscriptions? We do, and thank you for those.
Yeah.
They actually help contribute to the development, so they're very much appreciated. Ozzy is asking, what helps you guys most when it comes to GitHub issues, besides well-following reporting requirements, of course? Following the reporting requirements. That's actually the biggest part, is like people don't follow them, and what's worse, sometimes people will argue about stuff, and it's just like not a good way like for us to spend the time, because like we just want to like solve issues, and like the things we ask for are so we can solve issues very efficiently, because we are very limited on time, and when people end up like wasting our time, like we get very unhappy. So please be people being considerate of our time, and you know, making sure make like good quality report. Make sure there's also like, you know, good balance is like make it like, because there's like issues that like have barely any information, and there's also issues that have like way too much, like it's like paragraphs. Usually the best is, you know, something that has all the important information but it's concise. You know, it's just the thing I like is like bullet points. Be like, okay, this thing. It's very easy to parse, very easy to process. Make, you know, also another thing, make good titles. There's actually a thing I wanted to do, one of the resonances, is just go over a bunch of the GitHub issues and like, you know, rate like the titles and be like, you know, this is a good title, this is not a good title. There's some reports where it's like a bug, you know, the thing, and I'm like, I don't know what it is. Like, bug can be absolutely anything. So it's like, I'm not gonna like look at that issue because like I don't like, you know, I can't like parse it. It's like good headline for the like good title for the issue, that goes a long way. But that's also, you know, in the reporting requirements. If you want to be more thorough, check the how you prioritize document, because that also has like a lot more information that helps. But generally, please follow reporting requirements. Make things easy for us. Because if you make things easy for us, like we'll love you for it, and we'll tend to like, you know, prioritize those issues. And that's one of the things I keep hoping some people would pick up on, that like we tend to like, you know, prioritize more issues that are like well written, that like follow those reports. But people don't pick up on them. They keep like doing things like when we ask them, you know, please don't do this, like, you know, do this instead. This is more efficient. Some people just keep doing it, and it just feels like what do we do? Next question. I'm Ben is asking, is there a way to make the game simpler for people coming from VRChat? For example, like making Dash simpler. So we do plan to like rework a lot of the UI. We've done like a bit of it, like we reworked the settings UI, which like has much nicer kind of, you know, more modern kind of look. It's more easier to use. We still pretty much like have to rework, like, you know, most of it, like the word stop, like we kind of do, like after that one kind of had a rework, but we're gonna do like another pass. The contacts, inventory, section, files, those, you know, need to be reworked. And then we also kind of like touch, like, because right now the main dash has like some stuff that's not supposed to be there, but there's not really other place to put it, so we're also going to add more tabs to kind of like organize things better. But we also, like, our team recently added a new help tab, and I can actually I kind of want to show it. Let me switch to private UI again. Go third person. I'm gonna grab the camera, and so I can show you my dish. There we go. So after, like, you know, mentioning the settings UI, This one, has like much nicer kind of look. Like it's like categorized. There's like descriptions for things when you hover over them. So like we made this like much nicer. But these ones, this needs to be reworked. This needs to be reworked. This one's kind of okay. This one needs to be reworked. This one like we'll probably move somewhere else. But this is the help tab, and like this is specifically made to help new users. So like if you come in and you're like, okay, I want to set up my avatar, so you click on that, and look, it loads like a stuff for you, and there should be like a nice video, that kind of showcases you how to do things. There's like information. It kind of walks you through a lot of things. There's like there's categories, so you can like learn how to use stuff. So yeah. Let me move this back. It's like a number of like things. What does also help is like if you're coming say from VRChat, like what is useful to us is like telling us what stuff is confusing to you, like what stuff do you get stuck on, what stuff makes you frustrated. Because if we know what the pain points are, then we can design things that are gonna be better. Sometimes people tell us, like, oh, I want like UI to like look like this, but then we don't know, like, what problem is that solving, because we usually just can't take designs, and just at the face value. We need to know what problems exist, because we're usually coming up with a solution for it. That's something we do on our end, and we want to take a look of like a lot of different inputs and figure out a solution that works for both. Because if somebody offers us a solution, they're like, just change this way. Maybe that will work for them, but that will not work for other people. And it's our job to make sure it works for like as many people as possible. So the best thing is let us know what the pain points are, because that way we know, okay, this is a problem, this is what people get stuck on. We can focus on this. We can design something that addresses this pain point, and maybe addresses 10 other pain points we got from other people. But like it's a continuous process. There's other stuff too, because people, coming, from VRChat, they can have lots of different issues. Maybe somebody like wants to bring their avatar, but they're not familiar with editing tools. One of the things we've been doing to help with that is we added something called Resonite packages that make it easy for people to pre-set up avatars, and then you just like drag the package on, and the avatar just pops in the world, and then you can just like use it. It automatically moves the protection to it, so and it makes it very, very easy to like use it. And we also want to expand there. We want to like eventually do stuff like for example the Unity SDK. So like it's very easy. If you have existing content or existing avatars, you can just convert them with that solution. There's a number of things, and it depends on the person. People are coming for different reasons. People have different pain points. We want to generally keep improving and removing as many as we can. So yes, we definitely want to do more. Next question is from Pegiston. Will the other stream just be restreaming the Monterey by Aquarium? I don't actually know what it is. And Monterey is like city in Mexico, I think. But I don't know what it is. Next questions from Nukikun. I get better performance now with hyperthreading than without, because Resonite is more spread over many processes. I was asking about input. I mean, that's your answer. We get better performance with hyperthreading, then use hyperthreading. Like, I don't really know like what more we could like add to that. Next question is from Pixelmator. Question: what is the intended method for favoriting published worlds in the Resonite? I want to be able to easily find published world again, but I don't want to save a local copy of the world in my inventory since it takes up space. So we don't have official favoriting thing yet. That's something that might like come with like a workshop. But if you want to do it right now, what you can do is you just spawn the world orb. You save the world orb, not the world itself. Let's do this again. Private UI, third person. I'm gonna grab the camera. So make sure, if you go to session, if you do this will save a copy of the world. So you don't want to do this because this will take a lot of your storage space. Unless you want to, save a copy, then, do that. But what you can do is you get the word orb, it pops it in front of you, and you can save this. The word orb, you can see it's still owned by decoy. This is essentially like a hyperlink. So you can save this to your inventory, and this will take minimal amount of storage space, just for the hyperlink to be saved. So that's the best way to do it. Next questions from Benji AFK. They're asking, hey guys, just was wondering about what will happen when the game official servers close permanently. Will the open source game make self-hosted servers? Thanks for your time. What do you mean when? We don't plan closing it. Our goal is to pretty much keep going for as long as we can. In the case we had to we were not able to run it, then we would probably end up doing something like that. But there's probably a number of different things we would do before we reach that point. We would we would find ways to kind of keep things running at lower cost, and because we want to just keep doing this for as long as we can, and this is very kind of long-term perpetual kind of project. If it came to it, we would probably kind of open it up so people can it can kind of run as a community thing, but a lot would have to happen for us to get to that point.
I'm pretty sure we have people who would be willing to run the goddamn servers in their basement if it came close to that, so
we can't really do, because stuff like GDPR and stuff like that doesn't make it legal.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just saying that people that the drive to continue the game is high.
Yeah. Next question's from Satan. Assuming that everyone in engineering team has good proficiency in Rust, would we rather have Resonite fully manually developed using Rust or continue in C#? Just as the hypothetical situation where our previous work until now had been done in what chosen language, also why? I would still kind of go with C#. Rust is good, systems level programming language, but C# in particular, I actually feel it's very, very suited for software like this, because of its dynamicity. Resonite is very, very dynamic. So having a language like C#, that pairs really well with that, and makes it much, kind of simpler to implement, because we use a lot of stuff like reflection and generics that are instantiated at runtime, and that kind of relies on the JIT compiler a lot. So that's pretty much the main reason. It's also I feel it's kind of faster to write in C#, especially to deal with the level of complexity we have. With languages like Rust, to make something similar to complex would take a lot longer time, and we don't have the time. So it would make things a little more complicated. And that's not to say that Rust is a bad language. I think it's really good. It's really important that it exists. But I don't think it's the right tool for this. Next one is also from Benji FK. Actually, no, it's the same one. Weird. Satan Dub is asking, what is the most creative use and or location you have seen for tool shelves? There was a while back, there was an MMC meme world where you would click on thing and it would just make your tool shelf go super long, and it would actually attach a camera to the end of it so you could see yourself from the end of your tool shelf, and it would make a funny sound when it does it. So it was very funny. MidFTools asking, could there be add-ons to the events facet in the future? There are some events that can't be displayed by default because they're not public or only interest some people, like a small game meetup. in the future, we'll probably like build like our own system, but for now, like we're using like the community system, so that's kind of, you know, essentially third party that we sort of like adopted for the time being to make it like easier for people to find it. So Yamidef was asking opinion on walnuts.
They're okay, I guess.
I like walnuts.
I prefer peanuts or cashews. What about cashews?
Oh, cashews are really good. I like walnuts too. I'm also like a bit biased because like my grandparents, they actually had walnut trees. Like we would get like infinite walnuts. Like we would have like so many walnuts. Like we'd be like sick of eating them, but like I ate a lot of them.
Infinite walnut glitch.
Yeah. I sometimes think that like I might have like mild like nut allergy or something, because sometimes I'll eat like some nuts and like then my throat gets a bit scratchy. It's like not bad, but
yeah,
like
me too.
But I'm like, huh?
Yeah, I get that with raw fruits and vegetables sometimes too.
I don't get it with like fruits or vegetables. I get it with the honey sometimes. Like sometimes honey will cause me like to be like, it will make my mouth a little bit itchy. Like nothing bad, but like enough to be like, huh?
Yeah, from what I understand, it's just the plant proteins.
Colin's saying, so I managed to find a minimal reproduction for Cecil Madness. Guess what? It's generics. Sounds about right. it was
Hooray.
generics too, like I think with like the thing I found myself. Abysmal is asking, do you think Resonite as a platform would have a mainly VR-based user base, or could desktop users significantly overtake that? Would they change or focus on fully implementing screen mode usability? I feel it's like kind of chicken and egg thing. So like I feel like if we add a little more like to the screen mode, I think it will attract more, you know, desktop users too. So yeah, like I feel it's kind of like, you know, the other way. Like if we add like even more like, you know, stuff to the screen mode, make it a little more easier to use, I feel it's gonna make it more attractive to screen users. That's not to say, you know, we don't want to make it the main one. Like our focus is always gonna be in like VR first, but doesn't mean like, you know, we can't make the desktop experience great either. And all of the things we want to do, there's actually a video on our YouTube channel on the improvements, what we want to do with the desktop mode. It kind of covers, you know, stuff like we want to do, and a lot of the ways we want to approach things is like, you know, so you have an inspector in world, is make it so you can just pin that on your screen, but the inspector, you know, just stays in world. You're just like interacting with it because you have quick access in your desktop view. So that will, you know, make it much easier to use without sacrificing the VR first kind of approach. Ooh. Next question's from Miyavidev Tool. Are there already succession plans in case something happens to you or want to retire? I obviously don't think that's likely to happen soon, but I wonder if you have a preset plan or not. I mean, not super big one, like there's like some things, like we make sure, like, you know, like anything like multiple people have access to things, you know, like the repos and password managers and other stuff. So there's like, you know, stuff like that, but like there's not really anything beyond that. And Kosod was asking, you keep saying there's not enough time, why don't you just create time machine in Flux? I mean, honestly, that's kind of how it feels sometimes, like with the requests from people. It feels like they kind of expect us to like just make a time machine to like do all the things.
And because making a time machine takes time that we don't have.
Yeah, like, yes. It would take too much time. And also, that's actually all of the questions. It's just the subs. I don't know if I can just clear that. It's a lot of it.
Yeah, we're good now.
Tachyon Flux. How much time we have? Oh, we have a...
like 20 minutes.
What is it? Yeah, 20 minutes. 22-ish. So there's like a... Oh, and there's a question. So if you still have like no questions, feel free to ask. We're getting like towards the end, so like we get to the point like where we can't do like long and complex questions, but there's still time, so ask them now, or you'll have to wait next week. Question from Saden. Saidendub is asking, can you speak about companies, universities that are using Resonite for education? Sometime before I saw a video where Decoy found a class inside Resonite where people were learning how to use VR. I'm very curious about what people are doing about education in Resonite. So the one we probably found, that's the Czech Technical University in Prague, and there's a VR classes taught by technically it's not professor, I don't know the English name of it, docent, in Czech it's docent, Petr Klan, and he also goes by Peck, and essentially he's been teaching with Froox engine and Resonite for I think 5 or 6 years now. I've kind of helped him put some of the lectures initially together too, and VR is actually something he's been passionate about. He's been super interested in the first boom in the 90s for VR, and it kind of died down. And when this boom of VR happened, he helped me a lot, with Resonite. And he's actually managed to he has classes VR1 and VR2, and I think he's actually doing another one where he is teaching virtual reality with with Resonite and how you build in virtual reality and so on. And it's been very, very popular. He has always lots of students. I know every Friday he runs the VR classes, and he gets there in the morning and gets home in the evening, and it's literally back to back lessons the whole day, and it's insane. He's handling all that, but it makes him happy. He likes doing those. Pretty much what he does, he kind of teaches Resonite how you he wants to teach metaverse, and how you as much as tainted that word is right now, but how virtual worlds, digital universes, how do you exist in them, how do you build with them, how do you collaborate, and he has lessons where students, he essentially goes start simple, just basic brush tools, shape tools and so on, and then he gets into inspector, particle systems. Those are very fun. And the last 3 lessons or 4 lessons he's doing Perflux, where he teaches them programming. So he's been doing it for quite a while. It's super cool. The students have a really good kind of generally very positive about it. It's one of the it was his lessons get really good rating from the students, so it's been really cool. There's a few other universities as well. I'm not too well equipped to speak on those, but a lot of educational uses they make me very excited, because that's a lot of where my background is, and one of the sort of impulses why I built Froox engine in the first place is to make education better and allow people to learn. And learn more naturally and learn more collaboratively. Next question. Epic Easton's asking 22 minutes outer-wise reference. Not an intentional one, but I'll take it. BD underscore is asking, has work started on Molecule or some other pulse-splitting major project, or is still a bit further out? So Molecule, there's actually some work been done, but it's been a while back, so it's kind of being picked up again. There's some little pieces of next major thing, just kind of scoping things out and so on, but right now the focus is still gonna be on a bit of a cleanup, post splitting. So it's gonna be a little bit, and I've been kind of like I said, very brain focused, so it's been hard to make progress right now. Yamida Fool's asking, do you think official browser in-game based Chromium, Firefox, Ladybird could ever happen? Potentially. I think Chromium has some integrations, but they can just embed what's it called, the CEF project, CEF, but right now, I don't see super strong need for it. You can just use the desktop tab. And also depends what do you mean, do you want to for example place it in world, because then you have to worry, how does this stay synchronized? So you'd probably have one user that's actually doing the rendering of it, and then it's we need to actually have a video stream that so the user who's doing the rendering is streaming the output to everyone else. Which we'll need that as a prerequisite if we want it to be in world. we could have it like, where the web browser like, is in our dash and I can kind of access it for, just browsing the web, but we can just use the desktop tab. So I don't think like right now there's like a huge need for it. Unless like, we can always make GitHub issue too and like give us like a use case, and that can change. But right now, like, I don't see one. The next question is from Benji AFK. Question: I'm very weird in a way. I always try to host everything locally because I'm always scared something might will happen to the internet. If you had some sort of announcement that something were to happen to the internet, what would you guys do to sustain the Resonite as public software? I mean, that depends on a lot. Like, what does it mean to something happen to the internet? Does it mean the entire internet goes down? Does it mean like part of it goes down? Does it mean some protocols not work? Like, there's lots of different like scenarios, and the answer is gonna depend on whatever scenario is. If there's no internet, how do we do like anything? Like, how do we communicate with people? Like, we need to communicate with how do we distribute like software? Like, where do we publish it? Like, what does the future look like?
You're like asking us what's gonna happen. Like, what will Resonite do if a meteor hits the planet and destroys everything and blows it all up? I don't know. It
depends what that future looks like. Maybe we'll all be like distributing everything on flash drives. I don't know.
FM radio.
Actually, that's the thing. That's like, I know like one of the reasons people like ham radio and stuff is because like it works even like in such like apocalypse. So maybe there'll be protocols, with ham radio, and like that's how you download Resonite.
There are modem programs for Linux where you can send network data over audio.
Yeah, maybe that, but maybe we build new internet. So, and there's another question is like, if internet goes down, like, I don't think it's like really realistic scenario at this point, like, because even like if something drastic were to happen, and sometimes there's like big things that happen, people fix it.
Yes.
So then maybe that's the answer. We just wait for whatever outage is happening to be fixed. Next question's from Jolier. Out of curiosity, is there any reason why dynamic var Froox on not found impulse is at the top of instead of on success, sort of breaks the norm, so success being on top? It's just we haven't had like system for like specifying the order, so like it takes whatever order it finds them in the in the code.
I guess Froox just wrote this one, just happened to write the on not found one first, I see.
No, it's actually it's a little bit more complicated because I would have to check the code, but a lot of these nodes, they actually use inheritance. So there's like a base node where the base node like has the not found, but like then these specific behaviors like on success or failed is actually shared. That's in the derived class. So the not found is part of the base class, but the base class doesn't know about these two because there's a bunch of different nodes that also have not unfound, which is shared functionality, but this is not shared functionality. So we need like a system that just like where we target it and like we explicitly define the order in which they should appear, and that like would fix it.
You know what? This is funny enough that I'm actually gonna look right now for my
you can look in the code. I just got 12 minutes.
What node is this? All right, cool. Right dynamic value variable. Right dynamic variable.
I might. Did you find it already?
Oh yeah, it is. I think it is an inheritance thing.
Yeah, that's been like, I don't know like in this specific case, but like it has been like, I know it's in a bunch of cases it's like inheritance.
Yeah, it's inheritance.
So we just need like a system to like explicitly specify the order. Colin is also asking, is there any difference between value copy and value driver other than latter not having write back option? Yes. Value copy is a lot more efficient because it works with changeable sources. So essentially it hooks into the events and it only runs code whenever that like source updates, and otherwise it does nothing. Value driver updates every frame and will keep like updating because it's designed to work even with sources that don't support change tracking. So it kind of has to preemptively just keep updating every frame, just to make it work, because it has no way of knowing whether the source changes or not. So most cases you want to use value copy. It's a lot more efficient. There's few cases where you won't be able to use value copy because like the source does not support change tracking, in which case you have to use value driver. It's less efficient, but sometimes it's the only option. Sidon Dub is asking, favorite animal sound? Cat chirping, maybe. Or I don't actually know what it's called. Like warbling. It's like... that one.
Meow. I mean, squark. I don't know.
Next question is from Yame DevTool. Do you think Resonite would be allowed to be distributed in modern consoles like Nintendo Switch 2 and PS5? Probably not in its current state. I haven't like looked into it like super in detail, but generally the consoles, they tend to be very strict about the content and like end user created content, so that might have like lead some issues. And if we were to like distribute on those, like that might require some more restricted version of Resonite. I'm like looking into it like super in detail, so like I can't really say. Yummy Devils asking, what's the most creative whooper you've ever seen on Avatar? There's a few. Like I do like the ones that sort of like track how many times you boop someone and they use a cloud variable. And the reason I kind of like that is because like cloud variables, and I like statistics, and sometimes like there's some people that like you see them and like you're gonna increase your high score. So do you have any?
Honestly, no. I'm kind of a Grinch about boopers. I don't really like them. Sorry, guys. I really don't like them. I'm a Grinch.
A Grinch Avatar one. Next question's from Jolier. On similar note, how difficult would it be to add text colors to dynamic output impulses, like red for fail impulses and green for success impulses? Do you mean like just the labels? The labels technically wouldn't be that hard, I think. Like we just have to like override the name and include like a RTF tag, but actually I don't know if we do RTF. Like we might disable RTF tag parsing just for performance on those, but potentially possible. I don't know like what it would do to readability though. There might be like a thing to a concert. Oh my god. Because why is perfume so expensive? Because you have to pay perfume. just get silly and you can get the smells. Next question's from BD_. I can understand the dynamic variable success and not found, but when would it give failed result? I don't actually know from the top of my head, so yeah, I don't know. I'd have to check the code for that one. Do you want to check the code?
What is it? Dynamic variable. Why would it give a failed result?
Yeah.
Oh, I closed VS Code because it was eating my RAM. It probably, probably because like if it can't attach the variable for whatever reason, it will fail.
Yeah, it's something like that. I'd have to check the code. Next question, Satan up. Have you given classes in VR before? I did, yes. It's been a while back, but actually like for Preg as well. Like I used to like participate like in his lessons and would give like some would essentially give like part of the lecture. We have 7-ish minutes still, so if you got any more questions, we still got a bit of time. But also be quicker ones though. Or if it's a longer one, it's probably just gonna be one.
I don't know, I don't mind a little bit of airtime.
There's a little bit of airtime, just vibing.
Yeah, I like vibing. This world is kind of neat.
Yeah, we can actually check out the world. This is one of the MMC entries. This won't like the work other category. Let me actually go third person. I'm gonna go view. Let's see. I'm just gonna slide around. So, let's see. I'm gonna adjust the camera a bit more. So this is a world, which is sort of like, emulating it's called the Lookovers. Let's actually go, let's actually go here to the front. This is like normally where you start, and it's called the Lookovers. And it's sort of like old school, kind of like the old school like graphics, like when VR was, in its first like boom in the 90s, and it's sort of like emulating that, like the textures, like the general style of it. It is a really cool feature where once you toggle the online switch, you actually get these. You get like letters that have messages from other users, and you can also leave your own. There's like a send message, and you get like this UI. I'm gonna make it bigger so you can see it on the camera, and it can just be like, easily, quickly help. Help Fox. There we go. So you only have like, these messages that you can like use, and then you send it. Message okay. And I can close it. And now it's gonna appear for someone. If you go into this world, you might get this message. Every time, like, you get like a small pool of the messages, so like you don't get all of them at once. But it's a super cool mechanism where you can like, sort of leave things, for other people. There's like stuff like this, like like this like game. I can like, like play the game, get score. There's a bunch of like posters. It's all sort of like emulating the old school, style of it, and I really like it. So this thing, and there's an early LLM machine. So you can, you can ask it any question. What would you like to ask an LLM machine from the 90s? Just ask it a question.
Do you work well?
No.
There you go. See,
No.
it worked. The irony is like this means it works well. Do you want to ask another question?
No, I think I learned all I need to know.
Okay. Should we ask you another question?
No.
Okay. It's working perfectly.
All right, cool.
So this room, there's like, there's like internal memo, and like this is actually working.
I love these.
Yeah. You can like put stuff in there. But it is strangely smooth. There's this thing, there's a bunch of like other stuff. There's a microwave. It's always lunchly by Butler. And there's another room. If we go here, there's the credits. So you got decoy, you got Kiba, you got that one. You got that one. Why is this? I think actually I remember they said like this is partly broken, like it's kind of missing some people. And you also got, it's like a lot of like nice details in this. There's like all these posters, and there's also like this room, VIP room. And there's a lot more messages in here. Yeah. Let's go back to the demo room. This one also has like a bunch of stuff. There's like, there's this computer, and there's this sphere. And there's another sphere that I think sometimes changes shape, but yeah. So Butler is asking, leaving messages with predefined worlds asynchronously, does that mean Lookerverse is the Dark Souls of Resonite? I mean, kinda. I mean, the fog is kinda dark in here. Dumblefox asking, why do you hold these streams? Just direct everyone with questions to the 1996 LLM machine. I mean, you could do that, but it's not released yet. That's that's the problem. Like it's coming in 1996, and it's not 1996 yet. Like so can't use it yet.
Yeah, but also said we shouldn't ask it any more questions. So I think we should respect its wishes.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's true. Like it told us. I mean, it probably told us, because it's not released yet. So like once it releases, then it might change. But we just have to wait until it's 1996. Anyway, with that, it's actually time, so this kind of like worked out pretty well. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you all for the subscriptions. Like I mean, we kind of called it like that we're gonna do auto stream, so I feel like we should just do auto stream.
Yeah.
You gave us enough subs.
You get a freebie on this one, fellas. Get a pass.
And it's also on us, like we're not like counting super well, so like whatever, it's enough subs. Like we'll figure out an auto thing.
Jack, if you're watching, we need a sub counter. Go.
Yes.
Thank you. Please, thank you. Love you.
But thank you. Oh my god, as well. Thank you. So, thank you very much for watching. Don't say that, Colin. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. We'll probably do the auto stream like next time. Thank you for all the questions, and thank you for for supporting Resonite. Whether it's just being part of the platform, socializing, playing with people, like making sure this place is kind of alive, building cool things, for people to play with or like use, or supporting us, like through Twitch, to the subscriptions, or on Stripe or Patreon. So if you do Patreon, please consider switching to Stripe, because we get we get 10% more from the same amount like you give, to the subscription service. We get 10% more, which means we have more funds to work with. But either way, thank you very much, for the support. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you with the next one. And I'm gonna figure out. Actually, I have to figure out the rating. So give me a sec. I'm gonna see who's currently streaming Resonite, and it's just us. So, unfortunately, this ends here. Bye.
Bye-bye.